Y'all look great. Tim, if you give me moose antlers while I'm talking, my mom's gonna love it.
Oh, okay.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, everyone. All right. We're queer people. We're supposed to be a little bit louder than that, so thank you. It is a really distinct honor this afternoon to have the guests that we have here today, and for the reason that they are here today. As a Philadelphian, as a Pennsylvanian, as a gay man, it has never been lost on me, as it hasn't been lost on any of you, that we live in a state that doesn't offer any of us a single statewide LGBT civil right other than marriage equality. To say that the fight for the rights of the LGBTQ community in Pennsylvania has been an uphill battle would be an understatement that most of you in this room would understand completely. It's for that reason that having the quality of political leadership that we have had in the governor's mansion for the last 3.5 years is so critically important. And it's for that reason that having the warriors, the civil rights champions that are up here today are so critically important. So I am grateful to have you all here in the 182nd District. I'm grateful to have you here in Philadelphia, where, as you all know, we are legally the most LGBT-friendly municipality in America. Darn right. We like to say that here in Philadelphia, we don't just protect your civil rights, we respect them as well. And so with that said, it is my distinct honor to introduce a gentleman that is going to be the second out member of the out LGBT member of the Pennsylvania General Assembly, and that is Malcolm Kenyatta.
So first of all, I want to thank Brian and all the distinguished people we have this morning. And we are right outside of my district, the 181st, and so I'm excited to be close, even if I'm not home. But I've said this over and over again since we got past the primary election. What's happening in this general, what's happening in 2018, this is the most pivotal election in a generation. Hear, hear. This is. And I want to lay out very quickly why that's so and what we're up against, right? Because every election you hear people saying this is the most important election, but this is seriously the most important election. We have a governor right now that Brian so eloquently spoke about, who has not only talked about supporting the LGBT community, who's not only done all the photo ops to show that, but who's actually put his money where his mouth is in terms of respecting people in our community, in terms of doing everything he can to expand protections for folks in our community. So we need to be very clear about what he's up against. He is up against a candidate who does not believe that our diversity is our strength. He is up against a candidate who does not believe that we should be working to expand protections for every single Pennsylvania resident and working to make sure that LGBT people aren't just protected in one municipality and then they leave that municipality and lose all those protections. That's what he's up against. Right now, at a national level, we have in the White House somebody, it saddens me to say, does not believe in the promise of America. He does not believe in the idea that every generation we should be making and fighting for a more perfect union that includes more of us and excludes less of us. That's what we've done every single generation. And at the top, at the national level, he has made it very clear that is not what he believes. And it's not just him. If you look at what's happening nationally, it gets a lot of attention. It should. But what's happening in Harrisburg, what we're seeing from the leadership of the Republicans in Harrisburg is worse. It is worse. So when we talk about having somebody that's going to fight for us, that's important. But we also need to remember that the person who's on the other side doesn't believe in any of the things that Governor Wolf believes, doesn't believe in this beauty of America, that a gay, poor, black kid from North Philly could run for office and win. He doesn't believe that that is the beauty of America. But we have a governor who does. And so it is all of our responsibility in all of our neighborhoods, in all of our communities, on our blocks, at our churches, at the places we hang out, to drive home that point. We cannot stay home. We cannot allow our neighbors to stay home. We can't phone in this election. We have to fight every single day, as the governor has fought for us every single day, and we need to make sure that we return him to Harrisburg and he continues to be what he has always been, a champion for the LGBT community. And so I'm excited to make sure we can do everything we can to re-elect Governor Wolf as our next governor. And our next speaker shares that passion, but as we were talking a little bit, she also shares my complete misunderstanding of Minecraft and how it works. We were talking about the kids, and they love it. We don't get it, but I'm just really proud of Gina and the work that she does at Philly Family Pride to ensure that LGBT families are respected and that we see the full mosaic that is our beautiful, diverse community. So without further ado, Gina.
I'm Gina Klein. I'm on the board of Philadelphia Family Pride. I'm also the Chief Program Officer at American Reading Company. And Philadelphia Family Pride is an organization that represents hundreds of LGBT families in the Philadelphia area. And who wants to go after you, Malcolm? Anyway, so my job today is to tell you this one story about how, as Malcolm talked about, the way that protections are so different in one area of Pennsylvania to another. And that is true for our families. And it's true for my family. In 2012, when my wife and I were planning our first child, a child we conceived together, a child we worked and planned and paid for together, their marriage was not legal, and she had no right to be on the birth certificate and no guarantee of protection with our son. In New Jersey, she had the right to be on his birth certificate because of a law about domestic partnership. So we ended up driving to New Jersey for every single doctor's appointment, and we drove there twice while I was in labor. I almost gave birth on the Ben Franklin Bridge, but I made it. And even after all of that work, even after Liz was on our son's birth certificate with me, in Pennsylvania, even after marriage became the law of the land, there's no guarantee that the courts of Pennsylvania have to respect a birth certificate from New Jersey. But they do have to respect a court case or a court decision. So we still had to hire a lawyer, get a home study, get FBI clearances, get health reports, pay thousands of dollars, and go to court so that Liz could adopt her own child. That hasn't changed. Every day we are talking to other LGBT families who are worried about whether, if someone were to challenge their rights to the children they have planned and raised together, whether those rights will be safe. And that's only one of the many ways in which, as LGBT Pennsylvanians, we're not safe. We can be discriminated against in employment, in housing, and that means that we are not guaranteed that we will be able to protect and provide for our families. And it's for all of those reasons that we need politicians like Governor Wolf, who I have met Governor Wolf at 3 different LGBT events in 3 weeks. The man is everywhere working to make sure that he protects and that we protect the rights of Pennsylvania's families, all families, including LGBT families. So I personally am so honored to be here today, and I am just so excited that you are our governor, and may you be our governor again. And I forgot, it's my job now to introduce Kira Kinsman.
Hi, my name is Kira Kinsman. I'm new in Philadelphia. I've been here for about a year and a half. And I've been in northeastern Pennsylvania for the last 30 years practicing as an architect up there. I've moved to Philadelphia so that I can practice architecture again as my most authentic self, because in northeastern Pennsylvania, in all candor, I've been afraid over the years to come out as my most authentic self. I knew I wanted to be an architect when I was 9. I knew when I was 13 that I was kind of interested in wearing dresses. Those two things really have stuck with me my entire life, and I haven't wanted to give one up to gain another. I think that in Pennsylvania, sometimes particularly in parts of Pennsylvania outside of Philadelphia, there is a culture that isn't always so welcoming to LGBTQ rights. We're very fortunate, obviously, to have a governor for the last 3.5 years who's taken incredible initiatives to help us in healthcare, LGBTQ healthcare, and also promoting non-discrimination for state employees, and then hopefully beyond that as well. And in particular, advancing an effort to achieve protections in both, in employment and in housing and in public accommodations. And obviously for transgender people, the issue of public accommodations is incredibly important. And incremental change or progress in anti-discrimination in Pennsylvania is a little bit problematic for trans people, because if we can't get protection in public accommodations, we are finding ourselves in a situation where we're increasingly perhaps more vulnerable than we are already. I'd like to say that as a member of the Board of Equality PA, I try hard to make a little bit of a contribution to make sure that the next 13-year-old who decides that they want to be a boy or a girl, and that they are a boy or a girl, doesn't have to face 45 years of figuring out whether they can do it or not. I also think it's terribly important. I'd just like to say that as I face my 60th birthday in 2 weeks, that it's really important for white persons of some privilege in the LGBT community to be very clear with each other about that privilege, and to be cognizant of the most vulnerable within our community, and to speak to the nature of the intersectionality of discrimination that people of color face within our community. This doesn't get spoken a lot much, and I think it's terribly important. So. I'd also like for us all to just be incredibly aware of how fortunate we are to have Governor Tom Wolf as our governor. It's been said of Governor Wolf that he's the most liberal governor in the nation, and his response to that is that his policies are not about ideology, but about practicalities. I am a visiting critic at the Marywood School of Architecture in Scranton. I see a lot of young people on the LGBTQ spectrum. Those young people deserve a chance to keep all of their talent in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania and look forward to productive, exciting lives here in our Commonwealth, which after all has the 6th largest economy in this nation and the 18th largest economy in the world. Pennsylvania is a great place, and we're very fortunate to have Governor Tom Wolf. And I'm excited, as I'm sure we all are, that the governor's running again for re-election, so that's a wonderful thing. I'd like to introduce Chad Griffin, who's the president of the Human Rights Campaign, next.
Thank you so much, Kira, for that kind introduction. I just want to thank all of my colleagues standing up here today and fighting the fight that you fight for on a daily basis, for our community and for other marginalized communities here in this state and around this country. It's also a pleasure to be here at the William Way Center, a true model center for our country. It is truly life-saving work that our LGBTQ centers do all across this country. As you all know, not every community is as lucky as we are here to have the community and have the support that you have here, and so it's an honor to be here today. I also want to take just a minute and acknowledge and honor all these incredible folks who are standing up here with us today. This is a reminder of how we're going to win these races here locally in this state and across this country. Folks who are willing to stand up, speak out, to volunteer, to not just vote, but to volunteer to help register other people to vote and to take other people to the polls. And we are grateful that you're all standing with us up here today and in the audience today. We're all here because the LGBTQ community is under attack. From the Oval Office to right here in Pennsylvania, there are anti-equality politicians who have planted themselves solidly on the wrong side of history. They're trying to rip away all the progress that we achieved in the last many years under President Obama, and they're trying hard to drag this nation backwards. But the LGBTQ community is organized, we're mobilized, and we're out to win this November. At the Human Rights Campaign, we're currently engaged in the single largest grassroots expansion in our organization's 38-year history. Through HRC Rising, we're turning resistance into action. By deploying dozens of full-time field organizers, we're registering voters, recruiting volunteers, training new activists, and mobilizing equality voters to elect pro-equality candidates up and down the ballot this November. I also just want to take a minute to acknowledge Allison Van Kijken, who is in the room and is HRC's is our Allison I've known for a long time, and I am so thrilled to have you as our state director here in Pennsylvania and all the colleagues that you've helped to recruit and hire that will be leading our efforts across the state. Nationally, there are more than 10 million eligible LGBTQ voters in this country. More than 10 million. Right here in Pennsylvania, there are more than 363,000 LGBTQ voters. There are also more than 2.3 million equality voters that we've identified, allies, who are willing to make a candidate's position on equality the deciding factor in who gets their votes. Now that number bears repeating, 363,000 eligible LGBTQ voters in this state. I don't have to tell those of you from the state of Pennsylvania that we have close elections in this country. Elections matter, as you know, and what our community and our allies can do here in this state can truly determine the outcome of elections. And this November, that's exactly what we're going to do. This state has made enormous progress for LGBTQ equality in recent years, particularly at the executive level with executive actions. But more must be done. And there is no better leader to help us make that progress than the person I have the pleasure of introducing. Throughout his career in public service, he has consistently worked to move equality forward. By using the power of his office to combat discrimination and to fight for the passage of the Pennsylvania Fairness Act, he has been a tireless advocate for every person's right to work, live freely and equally. Meanwhile, his opponent, Scott Wagner, has praised the Trump-Pence administration even as they have attacked LGBTQ people and other marginalized people relentlessly, daily, and sometimes hourly. In fact, as you all know, Scott Wagner called Donald Trump a mini Scott Wagner. Well, we're taking him at his word, and that's why we are working so hard this year to re-elect this incredible governor. The choice this November for Pennsylvanians could not be more clear. And that's why I am so proud to announce that the Human Rights Campaign has endorsed his bid for re-election. Please join me in welcoming our friend, our champion and ally, the governor of the great state of Pennsylvania, Tom Wolf. troopers back there. Thank you, Governor. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. So thank you so much for that, first of all, the great introduction. But I can't tell you how honored I am to have your endorsement. This really means a lot to me. And I think this is a really very important election. You couldn't be more on the mark. 2018 is a year for all of us to make Pennsylvania better by making it fair. That's what this election is really about. And as you said, this is not about ideology. It's not about partisanship. This is just the practical truth. If we make Pennsylvania fair, we are going to make it better. And it traces that idea back to the very founding of this Commonwealth. William Penn founded this Commonwealth on the basis of diversity, inclusiveness, the basis of tolerance and openness. When we talk about this, when we actually extend the rights of all Pennsylvanians to include everybody, when we make Pennsylvania fair, we're simply paying tribute to those very noble roots. So I am truly honored to accept this endorsement. So could we have a round of applause for the Human Rights Campaign? Throughout the last 3 years, and I want to point out, you said throughout my political career, that political career is only 3.5 years old. But I think that's important, because what I bring to this is a recognition that this is a very practical imperative. This isn't not about ideology. This is about something that actually is going to make our state, our Commonwealth, better. And so I have really appreciated having you as a partner in the struggle to make Pennsylvania better by making it fair. Last weekend I was with a number of you. I kept claiming as American radio, all of you actually, at the Pride Parade. And it's a perfect representation of how important the LGBTQ community is to Pennsylvania. And I have been doing everything I can conceive of to do a job for the entire community as governor of Pennsylvania. But as you know, not everybody agrees with us. Not everybody thinks that making Pennsylvania fair will make it better. And so we have a bunch of people in Harrisburg who refuse to pass a non-discrimination bill. We're one of the few states in the country without a non-discrimination bill. We need to stop that. In the face of stalled non-discrimination legislation, though, I took matters into my own hands. I mean, I'm not a dictator, but I am governor, and we have an executive branch, and so I created executive orders that made sure that everybody in my administration is not going to be subject to discrimination based on sexual orientation, based on gender identity or gender. I am not going to make those distinctions. So we need to make sure Pennsylvania, the entire state, is open and free and for everybody, not just for a few. In 2015, I chose Dr. Rachel Levine as my first physician general, and now she's serving as my Secretary of Health. She is a transgender woman. I didn't choose her because of that. I chose her because she is the right person for the job. She has done a phenomenal job in everything she has done. Again, Pennsylvania is better because it's fair, and she is living proof of that. She's been a great partner to me in everything we've done, the public policies from challenging the opioid, addressing the opioid epidemic, to making lives better in nursing homes throughout Pennsylvania. And she's also been a huge champion of the LGBTQ community. So she is really important. We need to make sure that we continue to do everything that we can do to make Pennsylvania the open place that it needs to be. Everyone agrees, for example, in state contracting, we ought to do a better job. I can do that as governor. And so I have made it clear that anybody who is running a small business has a fair shot at getting a contract with the state. With the initiative that I launched there, I made it clear that the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania is open for business for everybody. Everybody, not just a few. So again, I've made progress. We've all made progress. But this is an election year when we can actually take the little progress we've made and really magnify it. 2018 is not just another election. It's a defining election. It's a chance for all of us right here in Pennsylvania to tell the world who we are, what we believe, the values we espouse, what's central to us. And I think it really does go back to our roots. This is the place we need to make that statement. We cannot be seen as a backwater. We've got to be seen as a fair, open place. This is who we are as Pennsylvanians. This is who we have always been. We need to make that clear. And so I will continue to fight for statewide non-discrimination legislation. With Brian and now with Malcolm in Harrisburg, we will work together to make sure that we do this. And again, this is practically important. We face an uphill battle. I need your support. We all need your support. We all need you to look at this election as the defining event in our lifetimes that it really is. This is our chance to take this democracy in the direction we want to take it. As you said, the contrast couldn't be clearer in this election. We have a chance to go in a direction that is really good for Pennsylvania. We also have a choice and a chance that Pennsylvania will go in a direction that's not going to be good for Pennsylvania's long-run health. Let's make sure we make the right choice. Let's get out. Keep engaged. Stay engaged. I was going to say get engaged. You're already engaged. Be engaged. Make this democracy work for all of us. It's going to be better because of that. Thank you so much.